63-33 run with the complimentary Blaze after taking a split on Saturday, cashing in with the Buffalo Bills, losing when the Baltimore Ravens decided to no-show against the Washington Redskins in the first half of that contest. But hey, 63-33 with the comp plays here on the video report over the past 49 days. I think you can live with that because I sure can. I've got two more today, Toronto, Detroit, Texas, Baltimore, and baseball. Plus, I'll give you my notes that I've compiled on one of your preseason games, the Oakland-Arizona contest. That's coming up in just a moment. Interesting about the preseason because, listen, it's worthless. You and I both know that, okay? It's just a joke any longer. However, there is a matter of public perception when it comes to gambling, and I want to give you a case in point. Struck me last night when I saw Philadelphia put up 217 points against the Packers after putting up a couple of hundred points against Baltimore and Indianapolis in the first two games. And, of course, we know that Chip Kelly is the new avant-garde offensive genius and guru when it comes to putting points on the board with his fast up-tempo style of play. Doesn't matter in the preseason whether the Eagles put the points on the board against first team, second team, or fourth-string guys that'll be, unemployed in a week and a half. Does not matter. It's a matter of perception. You win games that convincingly and put many points on the board, or you struggle in the preseason, you look pathetic, it's going to affect how the public perceives you. It's going to affect how the lines are going to be cast in the opening weeks of play. In the Eagles' particular case, everybody sees their scoring points. Yeah, it's the preseason. Doesn't matter. That means the odds makers know that the public knows that everybody's scoring points. And that means in the first few weeks of the season, if you're going to be betting Philadelphia, you're going to be paying a premium price because they're going to jack that number up just because the public right now knows that the Eagles are scoring points in bushels, and that is going to drive the price up. Public perception leads to the odds makers taking advantage of the public. You see it every single preseason. A team that comes out playing gangbusters or a team that struggles, how it adversely or positively affects the lines in the opening weeks of play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. A little human interest story here I wanted to pass along to you today. Alec Asher is his name. He is a rookie making his debut today, major league debut for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was researching the game, I came across this, and this is a guy who's now a member of the Phillies because he was acquired in the Cole Hamels trade from the Rangers. I wasn't even aware of it. But this kid, at the age of 14, and he was pitching for his junior varsity baseball team when he was a sixth grader. At the age of 14, blew out his arm, needed Tommy John surgery. Parents did research. They found a little doctor by the name of Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham, brought their son there, got the surgery. Hey, they were just normal working parents, okay? They had to go on a payment plan. $22,000 was the cost of the surgery. They just finished making the payments about a year and a half ago. Now, the kid eventually gets drafted by the San Francisco Giants in like the 23rd round of the draft a few years later. What happens? He goes for his physical. Giants find a bone spur. They decide to give him a ticket home. They're not going to sign him. Has the bone spur removed. Goes back to college again. This time really pumps up his stats and his performance, and subsequently is drafted, I think it was, I had a note here, the fourth round of the 2012 draft. And, of course, eventually traded as part of the big Cole Hamels trade. Got off to a great start for the Phillies AAA team, and now making his major league debut today. But when I saw that, 14 years old, Tommy John surgery, and how it's transpired and how he still overcame all the obstacles to make it to the major leagues, of course, this is a story that's been well told. So many youngsters, pitching too many innings, going to off-speed stuff, throwing curveballs, too many of them at an early age. Tommy John surgery, it's like, going in and getting your knee drained almost nowadays. Scary, scary thing. But I just thought that the whole human interest aspect was really, really cool in that regard. Let's talk about gambling here. Steve Buden's number one NBA crew, and yes, I said number one NBA crew, the New York crew. This is the same crew that went 9-2 in the NBA Finals the past 2 years, all 50 dime plays. You may recall, on Monday and, what was it? It was Monday and Tuesday, I think it was. They had a pair of 50 dime plays. Then they had their first ever 100 dime release. Blue Jays on the run line. Wednesday at Texas, 12-4. You got it for half price. Had their second ever 100 dime play in baseball. That was on Friday with the Blue Jays on the run line, 5-3 over Detroit. And then yesterday, they had their third ever 100 dime play. You guessed it, Blue Jays on the run line, 15-1 over Detroit. You got every single one of those plays at half price. Well, today, they're coming out with something bigger. They're going with their first ever 150 dime baseball release. It's the Giants-Cardinals game at AT&T Park. Giants took the opener in extra innings. Cardinals bounced back with the shutout behind Lance Lynn yesterday. First ever 150 dime play. You better believe it. It's the half price play of the day. And the coupon code is NYC150. NYC150. That is your half price play of the day coupon code. Meanwhile, how about Chris Jordan? He goes 6-1 with the 400-star football and baseball totals over the past week. 6 out of 7 in the bank. You got every single one of them for $7.77. Today, he has a play twice as strong. His one and only 800-star preseason game of the year. Your game between Houston and New Orleans, your nationally televised contest tonight. You can save $70 on it by using coupon code CJ29. CJ29. That'll save you $70 and get this play for just $29 on your primetime game in the NFL tonight from the guy who has made you a fortune at a cheap price over the past 7 days, hitting 6 out of 7 releases, and today's play is twice as strong. Listen, Sunday Night Baseball, you got the Dodgers and the Cubs, right? Are the Cubs in a slump again? Are the Dodgers going to keep winning? Matt Rivers, each of the last 6 Sundays, Sunday Night Game of the Year play. 500,000 star release, top-rated 500,000 star play. He's hit them all. You've gotten them all at over half price off. Nothing different tonight. It's another 500,000 star play. In fact, for Matt Rivers, I think it's 500,000 star winner number 15 out of 20 overall, and it's his 7th consecutive Sunday Night Game of the Year play. You get it, and you save money in the process. Yes, you get it, and you save by using coupon code MATT, M-A-T-T. That will save you $65 off your purchase price as he goes for a 7th consecutive Sunday Night Game of the Year play winner over the past 7 weeks. Okay, we're done with that stuff. Let's get to your complimentary plays here. Listen, I think there's still value in taking the Toronto Blue Jays today on the run line, but that value quickly dissipates when you see that even though you're laying the 1.5 runs, now you're suddenly going to have to go ahead and lay $1.25 to $1.30 as well with the Blue Jays. But I can tell you from personal experience, going against Alfredo Simon, who the Tigers are going today, is not a bad thing. I backed him in his last start because after a stretch of dreadful outings, he was coming off a complete game, 1-hit shutout of the Texas Rangers. So what happens? He takes on the Angels on Tuesday night. 4 1/3 innings. 9 hits, 8 runs, 4 walks, 3 wild pitches, and a run scored on all 3 wild pitches. That's how bad he performed. He's got a 5.77 earned run average in 12 road games. Meanwhile, what can I say about the Toronto Blue Jays? I mean, they won 15-1 yesterday. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. They've scored 75 runs and hit 18 homers in those 8 games. They've won 14 out of 17 at the Rogers Center. 14 out of 17, and they've averaged 6 runs a game in there. They've hit 7 homers in the first 2 games of this particular series. In 5 games against the Tigers this season, they've batted .309. They've scored 35 runs. They've hit 11 homers. Meanwhile, the Tigers have lost 8 out of 9 games. They're only hitting .237 in that stretch and averaging 2.9 runs. Good enough reason, I think, to go with the Blue Jays on the run line. I'm going to go with Texas to complete a sweep of the Baltimore Orioles. The Rangers going with Derek Holland, who's making his 4th appearance and his 3rd start since coming off the latest one of the injuries. I can't even remember. This guy's had so many injuries the past couple of years. His first start was very encouraging against the Mariners at home, 6 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. His second start at home as well, not nearly as strong. Against the Blue Jays, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 homers, and 3 strikeouts. But again, I just told you, the Blue Jays, the team that leads the major leagues in scoring, maybe that was just an aberration because that's who he was pitching against. Bottom line, the Rangers have taken the first 2 games of the series 4-3 and 4-1. They're 5-1 in the season series. They've won 12 of their last 16 games overall. Orioles have lost 9 out of 10, and in those 9 losses, they've scored 3 runs or less in every single one of them. Rangers have solidified their hold on the second and final wild card spot in the American League. They lead Minnesota by 1.5 games, and they're 4.5 games up on the suddenly continually slumping Orioles, who are going with Miguel Gonzalez, who was 0-4 with a 7.58 earned run average in his last 6 starts. And the Orioles have lost 5 of those 6 outings. Matter of fact, he was hit hard June 30th when he was pitching at home against the Rangers, when the Rangers swept the 3-game series at Camden Yards. In that particular game, he gave up 3 home runs to the Rangers in that particular contest, and let's see, 6 runs and 8 hits overall, and 3 of them were homers. So I'm going to go with Texas straight up on the money line, and I'm going to take Toronto on the run line as your 2 complimentary plays. And then let me pass on my notes for you. And then listen, my best bet today is going to be in football. I've hit 4 out of 5 preseason plays so far. 2-0 sweep with the 15-dime releases after catching with Indianapolis in the first half yesterday at St. Louis. The Colts getting a half point, took a 6-point lead into halftime at that one. So that was another 15-dime play, and I have another 15-dime play today on the contest featuring the Saints and the Texans, which leads me to your Oakland-Arizona game. I think it's a difficult game to handicap because Bruce Arians, his exact quote was that I don't need to see him play that long. And who he is referring to is quarterback Carson Palmer, who, although the starters are going to probably play most of the first half, Palmer is going to see just a little action. Now, Palmer, of course, is coming back from the knee injury that ruined his season a year ago. The offensive line did not afford him much protection in the Cardinals' last game. He only threw 9. There were 9 pass plays called. Twice he was sacked and once he was hit. 3 out of 9, that's not what you want your offensive line doing in terms of the percentages of giving you adequate pass protection. You know, the big thing with the Cardinals here, they may once again just go with Drew Stanton as the only other quarterback on the active roster. So today, Logan Thomas from Virginia Tech and Phil Simms kid, the rookie free agent. Those 2 guys are probably going to see most of the action as they compete in the second half of this game and next week's worthless preseason finale to see if they make the roster on the taxi squad. Is that what you call it now? The taxi squad, the reserve squad. As for Oakland, hey, Raiders played well in a loss of Minnesota last week. You know, the starters are expected to play a half. Couldn't find much about either one of these teams. But again, I think not knowing the situation with the Cardinals' rotation makes it kind of touchy. I will tell you this. The Cardinals' starters have outscored their competition, the starters versus starters, the first stringers versus first stringers, in both of the first 2 games. So maybe the way to look at this virtual pick'em game is to take Arizona in the first half at home because you'll have Palmer and Stanton doing most of your quarterbacking duties against Derek Carr and the Raiders. I'm sorry, of course this game is at Oakland, so I mean taking them in the first half on the road, just like I took Indianapolis yesterday in the first half on the road. If you're going to play it, that would be my suggestion. But again, I just don't think that's a game that you can really put any good money on since you just don't have any of the facts. Well, that'll do it, guys. Best of luck to you all, and I wish you well. And we'll do this again on Monday one more time right here on the Video Report.